I'm losing my mind.
Well, looky who we have here. It's us, the Cluster Puck Podcast, part of the MHRT Network here at Center Ice. And together, for the very first time, it's Nik and it's Brit.
Yes, there's not two boxes on the screen.
Two boxes on the screen. We are together here in Denver. We've been planning this for a couple months now, it seems.
I think we talked about it first game of the year.
Good long while that we just said, you know what, we did this all last season. We had such a great time that we said, you know what, let's go to a game. Let's go to Denver.
Yeah.
Have ourselves a great weekend. And so far, I mean, we've had
we are apparently very good for Denver sports teams. We'll find out. Today's the true test, but we've hit the Rockies game and the Nuggets game, and if the Rockies win, you know that something went right.
That's exactly right. So, like I said, this is the big announcement that we had for you guys. Obviously, you saw probably from our Twitter post that we had. We were at Larimer Square, took a couple pictures, but this is something we were super excited for, and I just can't wait to get started for this episode and kind of talk about stuff. But before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe, follow the MHRT Network so you can get notified when shows like the Cluster Puck Podcast go live. You can follow them at the various social media platforms of your choosing. And if you like, you can follow us at the Cluster Puck Podcast on Facebook, and then at Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Okay, there's a lot to go over because
where do we start?
We're probably about a week and a half behind. Usually our Thursday episodes are kind of, they're the time that we come out, but traveling, obviously, so kind of had to fit in an episode when and where we could. And we have a beautiful hotel room for our background. It's all fake. Don't believe it.
We had a green screen, and this is all what green we chose.
Screen. We chose a hotel room for a green screen background. Okay, so going into our recap, I suppose.
God forbid they didn't make it absolutely miserable for us to try to mentally handle as we're.
I know, and it's like we get to scream at each other right in front of each other's faces for the next 5 games, I guess. The big news that comes out of it, though, Brit, is that Rangers game, Nathan MacKinnon's point streak snaps.
Allegedly.
Right?
I guess my big thing was if he had scored in every game for the rest of the year, we all would have probably burned down like every NHL building that exists. But I don't think that you can take much away from it that he missed a point in the Columbus game, I think. But also, like, he did. It's probably a whole lot less compelling for him to do it. And it's probably a lot better for his brain to not have to worry about it. But if the streak had continued, I guarantee he would have gotten a point in that game. But it's good for him to reset, as awesome as it was. I think it is good for him to get that off his back.
I think you're right. And obviously retrospect, now that it's kind of blown off. And I think it's probably best that we did this recording a week after this happened.
I wish it wouldn't have been them that it was broken on. Just like, I don't know. It just is very they probably felt really good being
Allie and I were definitely at ends with each other in this game, and obviously
it's cool. I mean, it is something to be proud of when you break that.
It absolutely
but
is.
He did make it up to tying the second place, right?
He broke Gretzky's second record,
place
by a couple games, so he was just 5 short.
So at least raised the ante.
Exactly.
Breaking any Wayne Gretzky record, like if Wayne Gretzky owns the top 5, it's still cool to break the second place. It really is. There's not many records that at this point MacKinnon can really break, because so many of them are completely unreachable. And this one, honestly, at the beginning of the year when he was at like 13, 14, it never even seemed possible whatsoever for him to come close to that. So it really is. I mean, again, I've said this like 5 times. Take it in. This is MacKinnon's top. I mean, we are witnessing a beautiful season from MacKinnon, and I think that he might just fall over dead if he keeps playing this hard. So I'd imagine at some point we're gonna have to see at least a plateau. So enjoy him.
And you look at the records, you know, the company he's in with those records at 35 games. So he's sandwiched right between 2 Gretzky records, but you also had, I think, names like Lemieux and stuff like,
I mean,
crazy good players.
Usually we're so used to breaking our own like Avs records, and it's just Sakic, Forsberg. You know, you got, and then like the good oldies, but he's in some like next level company. Granted, Sakic is on all those top level ones, but he's reaching names that are actually acknowledged by the rest of the NHL. I don't think Joe Sakic gets nearly enough love.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are the kind of names where you see people constantly talking about McDavid and blah, 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 always being in high company. And all like, we don't get to have McKinnon up there compared to Wayne Gretzky very often.
Yeah.
So
and you're
it's nice to see him. We all know. I'll be that little homer that says nobody appreciates McKinnon enough. Yeah. Until this year, he has truly broken through where people are finally like, okay, yeah, he probably is on the same or close to as good as McDavid. So just different.
But the game itself, I mean, we talked about this last episode. We knew this one was going to go to overtime plus, right?
It has to. Georgiev literally is so predictable. These two goalies have such a hard on for each other. They just have to get to the shootout and go. It's like, I don't know.
It's personal, I'd assume, right?
And that's what my thing, and we'll get to the Georgiev conversation later, but Georgiev really does perform best when he has the most pressure and feels the most valued. And I'm sure that everybody was like, let's go get your team, because it's so personal. So I think that for as much as he sucks against little games, he always shows up.
He does.
Especially against the Rangers. If we could just play the Rangers 16 games, Lord knows it would be very good for us.
Yeah. So obviously in that Rangers game, they lose in the shootout. Two super like the heavyweights, right?
Just the shootout was pathetic from the Avs.
It was not. It
we
just
put
seemed
Middlestat
like,
out there. Was that Middlestats was?
I think that's what it was.
I saw what he was going for, but so that first, the very first shootout that we had with Georgiev, that was the most like, that was the one where Mikko like put that wrister right. I mean, that's where we saw that quintessential Mikko where he looks like he doesn't give a darn, but truly it's like world-class shooting. This shootout was very underwhelming. Like even the goals that the Rangers scored,
like
was it Panarin that
Panarin
scored?
and Trocheck are the two that scored.
They were just, and especially because Panarin, I'm like, all right, if you're going to score on us, make it something I can be an all over. And it was all right. Yeah. Panarin he's pulled a couple Forsbergs lately, and that's what he was going for, I think. But yeah, it was a very underwhelming shootout.
Yeah.
That led to a very underwhelming loss.
And that was kind of the thing where, you were expecting this to go maybe 5-6 rounds, and it just kind of
balls to the wall for 60 minutes. I think everybody had to have been exhausted. It was truly one of the fastest games, other than the other Oilers game, the one that we won. Those were two that's like Western Conference Finals against the Oilers. That's, if we could see that, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're 100% right. So again, it is a tough one to swallow, but at the same time, you walk away with a point. So exactly, you're kind of feeling all right about it.
Yeah.
You took them to overtime,
and we had been at what, like 7 of 9 for wins.
We were somewhere around
really
there.
High, really high. It wasn't gutting at all. I was totally fine with.
Yeah, we were just coming off the Montreal loss, which is like,
Did we have Nuke in that game? I don't think we did.
Oh, I don't think we did.
Yeah. Which it's hard for this team to win without Nuke. So
yeah. Or
even tie the Rangers without Nuke.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But you move on to the next one, and this was the one I was talking about last episode. This is my test, because at the time we were going to be slated to play the Predators, and so this was going to be kind of that match feel out game as far as what it would look like, how it would play out. You get the win 7-4, but it didn't come in the way we were expecting.
It was a game. It was a very odd game, which the Predators kind of not the same, but similar to Arizona. Every game against the Preds is always some kind of shit show within.
There's always something.
It's always odd, and it was a fast game. The Predators game was really fast, but it's just never smooth or comfortable. Especially when your goalie, has a breakdown.
Throws a fit, and what was that, the second period, or was it in the...
Yeah, I think it was in the second. They had like 4 of 12 shots, I believe it was. They scored on 4 of 12. Yeah. And then
Georgiev just lost it, threw a puck into the net, and Bednar said, "Okay, if you can't handle it, you're out."
They interviewed Bednar after, and they said, because Bednar does not pull his goalies. He lets them play through it, and which is something that I respect. unless you know your goalies. There's Vasilevsky, you pull him, he's probably going to burn your house down. Like, he does not allow himself to be pulled. I don't know if he'd even leave the ice, but you will learn what your goalie likes, and Georgiev has clearly established that he doesn't want to be pulled. He needs to finish it out. But when you go chucking pucks into the stands, possibly hitting a 5-year-old in the face, Bednar does not like, and he's made statements that I've alluded to, does not appreciate Georgiev's breakdowns. And I keep seeing people say, like, goalies need to be even keel, blah, blah, blah. But also remember that Patrick Waugh happened. So I appreciate his emotion. But he's had so many games where he's let in fast goals, you know, like every single goal. First goal is always fast. But he's buckled it down and finished it out. And he's progressively seemed to struggle more with finishing that out. I think it was a good pull for the sake of seeing Hughes go in. He locked it down. I think they had another 15-ish shots.
He didn't allow a single goal as soon as Hughes went in.
Being a backup goalie sucks, man. You go in there usually knowing that you're going to lose no matter how well you play. And that was probably best case scenario for how that game went, honestly.
No, I think you're spot on, because and we saw this a couple of years ago during the Cup run when we would pull Kemper and Francouz would come in, and all of a sudden the team's dynamic just changes.
It is, and that's what something people need to keep in mind is we play and have played, and it's something that needs to have like a stop and course correction. We have always buckled down in front of goalies better than we buckle down in front of Georgiev. Yes. We hang him out to dry far more, and there is an essence of protect the backup, protect the kid, especially when we have, up until 2 weeks ago, we never considered Ananen as a true, but like the way we played against for Prosvetov at the beginning of the season, totally different than we've ever played for Georgiev. I could honestly say that none of those 4 goals could truly solely be blamed on Georgiev. And I'm not being like goalie sympathizer. He truly has some of the worst luck that I've ever seen of any goaltender.
Yes, and we're going to talk about that kind of luck later in the recap.
But and you can name it back to the beginning of the season.
You really can. There's, I mean, you can pinpoint about 4 or 5 games where easily it's like, what else can you do?
Right, and there is a make your luck aspect, but you can't make the luck that is like pucks. Literally, just a puck is a piece of rubber on slippery ice with large men all around it. So I don't know. I am struggling with this too. So we'll get out of the goalie stuff. But Ananen played fantastic. That was a huge, honestly, a huge pushing factor in the trust for, can we use you? Like, can we honestly consider him a bona fide backup, and probably starting to look at if he's going to be the goalie of the future indefinitely.
There's definitely a lot of talk about it. But at the same time, the team's play turned up. I mean, you look at that second period. I mean, you fell down 3-2 at the end of the first, 4-2, and I think that's when you pulled Georgiev.
Yes.
Then you got 3 goals toward the middle-ish, endish of the period. My favorite of them being Yakov Trenin against his former team. I just
said this in the car the other day. He is. I never would have imagined he would be so important to this team. His absence was felt. It wasn't just Nichushkin's absence that, we had the game that we were missing Nuke and Trenin, and who would have thought that Trenin is nearly as impactful in some ways. Our penalty kill, not the power play. We certainly can't say anything nice about the power play, but our penalty kill has been kicking butt. And Trenin is somebody that I really hope we can keep, because and I still keep asking myself this, why did they get rid of him?
I don't know.
It's just bewildering. Imagine if they'd had him playing against us.
Well, and you even look, I mean, you see what Nashville has become, since they made the trades, and they were, I think, buyers and somewhat sellers during their trade deadline, but then they caught a heater, and but Yakov Trenin, he has shown to be a very important piece, like you said, on that penalty kill, and all 4 of those new players that we got this year have just gelled.
Well, and I don't
nicely
know if I said it on the pod, but I did see a thing that Trenin has always been like a huge ambassador for new Russian players on every team he's played for. And there was footage of him and Nichushkin out skating with Kovalenko. Granted, it was just a light skate, but that's the kind of stuff. And Trenin apparently had him over for dinner, and just kind of, it's a big deal, especially for Russians. Like, it's one thing to assimilate from like a Canadian moving down, or even like other European countries, but it is very important that Russians be put, it's a different, just overall demeanor and stuff. So having that support from Russians and like Russian type, it's really, really important for them to be able to fit in well.
It is. And fit in, he really has. And then
I think he's earned a lot of respect.
I would agree. I would 100% agree. McKinnon then scores 2 of his own. The Avs pull out of this one 7-4. Again, another comeback victory. We're pretty used to those at this point.
If this is a first round matchup, holy crap.
It's going to be pretty
Sometimes
fun.
I go back and forth whether the first rounds are more fun or less fun. And this is one of those ones that kind of scares me because the East is such a toss-up of dorkwads that just don't, none of them deserve to be in there.
No.
I mean, we may as well just start the playoffs with like the Rangers and the Canes.
You should.
Everybody else just go home. Like, we're sick of your crap. And out in the West, it's going to be like an absolute dogfight from the very first game. And that's what I worry about is our cup year. And last year, the big worry was the East is going to destroy themselves, getting out of the East. And they kind of did. Tampa, people ended up battered. And then in the West, we had all of our dorkwads that were, we had a couple easier, not as easy as it is this year for the East. That's a whole other topic for a documentary as to how bad the bottom is. But it's scary how we might have to fight our butts off. We're not going to have any gimmies. There's really not going to be any gimmies.
I mean, you look at the Central Division. So Dallas is in first, Colorado nipping at their heels in second, and then Winnipeg.
1 point, aren't we? Or if we win today.
If we win, it'll be 1 point. And then right after, right behind Colorado, 2 points behind, nipping at our heels, is Winnipeg. They've come back on a kick. So
which we'll get a nice little view of that. We have just a perfect playoff preview.
The schedule is
all the way up till the day they
so
start.
beautifully.
Yeah. But could they have guessed that Winnipeg would be in the playoffs? Like, did they even?
I mean, I thought they would, and I think there was a lot of people that even looked at me weird when I said that.
Yeah. Was it
for some
Winnipeg
reason,
or Vancouver? Was it Winnipeg that went down soft with Vegas last night in the playoffs, or last year in the playoffs?
That was.
Or was that Vancouver?
No, it was Winnipeg.
Kind of floundered. So we can see them, and they can just go down easy.
That's the hope. But anyway, so big win on that game. Obviously, it'd be fun if that was the final, or excuse me, the playoff matchup that we get. But then you go on this little road kick, right? You go to Columbus, right? Oddly enough, they throw Columbus into the very few last games of the season.
2 games against them, or did we have 3 against them?
2 games in the last week and a half.
So many repeats. So we're seeing very Columbus twice, Edmonton 3 times, Wild twice, Winnipeg. I think we've seen
Vegas.
Recently. Vegas. We are having the most redundant. I don't even remember which games are which at this point.
No.
So,
but in this game, we try to start the Anunin project again, starting him, which again, it's Columbus. That makes sense. That was a scheduled,
it's a
scheduled start, but you lose this game 4-1. Yeah. And for me, this is one of those games where I look at it and I say, how did this happen? Right? Like, we're smarter than this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean,
the go-to is, well, we got goalied again.
Tarasov, who just, what was his numbers? 45 saves. Like, it wasn't for lack of trying. We put up 46 shots on Tarasov, and a couple of went off the iron. Some of them just unlucky bounces, missed opportunities.
I don't understand. And maybe I have this missing it with other teams. At what point do we start to be concerned at the rate that the Avs get goalied against random bad teams?
The lowlanders.
Because I feel like we have sniper shooters, and why do we get goalied?
Yeah.
Or if we just get in our own heads at some point, I don't know. Because have you heard the name Tarasov prior to this in any meaningful way?
Not in a meaningful way.
Just another Russian name to get in my head and confuse me with all the Sovs.
That's right. The only highlight, obviously, of the game was Chris Wagner gets his first career goal. So, and then obviously they go and sign him to a contract extension following after. He has been playing very good. Was it
a one-way? Like, do we anticipate?
I believe it was a 1-year, one-way extension. So I think is what it was.
Plan to probably keep him up a lot more next
year.
I
would assume that would be the case.
Which I like him. I mean, he plays really hard worker.
He plays just sound hockey, right? And
really white collar.
Obviously his goal comes from a tip. So, I mean, it wasn't anything necessarily like skill and puck handling related, but just really good hand-eye coordination.
Tips are just, people think that tips are way luckier than they are. They're not luck. They're if you go watch like videos of Pavelski practicing tips in front of the net, it's incredible the amount of effort these guys put in. And also putting your body out there and then having the sound mind to do it. I like him a lot. I am glad that, and he deserved that little bit of goodness because he hasn't been up a whole lot lately.
No, he was kind of been on and off, but obviously.
And is this the game we saw Foodie also?
I think he's been here the last few games.
Yeah,
actually.
Granted, hasn't really done a whole lot.
Was out, yeah.
But it's nice to just get him up there, and he's lived. Amazingly, he hasn't gotten injured, so that's great.
He's still a warm body. That was what I was going to say. But one of these where you're just like, roll your eyes and kind of move on to the next one. You know what I mean? And to kick off that second game of the 3-game road trip, it was up to the Xcel Energy Center in St. Paul or in Minnesota, I'll say. Yep. And the Avs walk away with this one with a 5-2 win. This one, again, this is kind of more like this is how we expected you to play. But at the same time,
there's no win.
They got the win, but it just felt like they didn't play their best.
It didn't feel good, especially because
it was very strange.
Gustafsson sucked. I mean, he really did. I feel bad that he had such a hot start, and people thought that he was just going to go off. And it's like, it's just... and that's the thing that scares me about Onnen is you need a big sample size because since then he has definitely regressed to the mean-ish. But it just, it wasn't a win that felt good. It was just like, okay, I mean, and it is one of those situations where if you win, it's whatever. If you there's no win. If you lose, you're in trouble. And if you win, it's whatever. So
exactly.
I don't
know. And in a game where, as you're coming down to the line, every win matters. Like that Columbus game is might
that
come
could
back
be the
to
difference
hit you,
in
right?
winning the Central or not. Especially, but you got Dallas dropping games too. It's just so weird. It's so weird.
It seems like the top 3 teams in the Central right now that's like win, lose.
Yeah.
They're great, they're bad. They're great, they're bad. So
but that it speaks to the parity in the league right now.
It really does. But again, you'll take a win. It might be not your prettiest, but at the same time, Minnesota definitely didn't play their prettiest either.
The best was Drouin, another night of absolute domination, and just I can't love him anymore. I truly cannot. He has genuinely carried this team for the last 2 weeks. I mean, I don't know. And I just can't. I need to just like do a podcast on my own where I just like gush about him because and everybody's saying he's gone. And I don't believe that he's gone. No. So we'll see. But for now, I'm just going to appreciate the living heck out of him. He has moved from like we thought he needed McKinnon. We thought McKinnon was the juice that got him back in his career. But at this point, we are putting him everywhere and anywhere. I swear to God, you could put him at defense. And we can't put him in Casey Middlestat because he's a passer. Casey's a passer. We can't put him here because he's not a finisher. He passes too much. He doesn't like to drive the play. That dude has been driving the freaking play. He has put in some goals where times that I generally would have thought he would make that pass kind of wuss out or cop out or be too insecure and give it to Mac. There's a lot of points that Mac got as a result of Drouin passing it to him. And now that point streak over, I think we're seeing Drouin say, I'll take Tuesday.
He's come out into his own. Like, I think being with McKinnon definitely kickstarted that. You're absolutely right.
And
but
I think confidence. So
he's at a point where he's now comfortable in his own skin. He can play everywhere. I think you're exactly right with that. So again, another great showcase by Jonathan Drouin.
Takeaway is that Montreal ruins everything.
That's probably the accurate statement there. But anyway, so you go out happy with the win, but it is the first of a back-to-back, and then you go now
absolutely absurd back-to-back. I cannot stress enough how insane this schedule has been this week. There should be no back-to-back that includes cross-country. To me, back-to-backs are like 2-hour travel points. You get like a Florida and Florida. You get a New York. Like this is an insane going from Minnesota to Edmonton.
All the way to Edmonton. Yep. And so a lot of travel. And in this Edmonton game, Brit, a 6-2 loss. You just got absolutely flat out embarrassed. But
we're here stoked to go to the DNVR bar. We're gonna go watch, just a continuation of our Edmonton domination. What if we won the last 9 of 10?
Something like that.
They have not beat us in regulation prior to our Stanley Cup win.
Yeah. And it all came tumbling down here. But from this one, Britt, I mean, when we watched the game, we were in Denver at the time, and we went to the DNVR bar, like you said, and just watching the whole thing.
You could feel the vibe deplete. Just go after the Mikko hit. It was just like, oh.
Yeah, and we'll get to the Mikko Rantanen injury in a second, but you could definitely tell they were on the second half tiredly.
Yes, they needed to come out and get a goal quick, and while their legs were there, because you just literally could see their health meter like hit rock bottom midway through the second. And we let it go in the first. I think I went to the bathroom when we got there.
Minute 52 in.
And they scored a goal.
Yep. Minute 52 in.
Sucks, man.
You did have a lead in the game, but it didn't last very long. But now a lot of people in this game, Brit, are going after Georgiev hard. Really hard.
It changed. We were talking about with like Raj. He does between the pipes for the Avs. He is a very, very staunch goalie sympathizer.
Oh, yeah.
We saw a lot of the people who have been preaching patience for Georgiev the entire season. We saw that switch on a lot of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't necessarily switch from put him in and start him immediately, but a lot of people are thinking we might not have an option.
Yeah. A lot of people have jumped off the Georgiev train and are saying we're here for Annunen.
I don't know if you listen to Between the Pipes, but Raj is furious. I mean, very important broadcast people are furious. I mean, it's terrifying when we have possibly a team better than the 22 Cup team.
Yeah.
And we might just get outscored.
Yeah,
we might not be able to outscore.
It's a possibility. Now, I don't want to excuse Georgiev's play. However, I do want to bring up two things.
We gotta let him play through.
And that's the thing is he will have these games. One, I looked at all 6 of those shots. I want to say 5, if not all of them, were redirects or tips,
bounces
that weren't going the right way
and went in. I think that's the only one that's like WTF.
Exactly. So again, Georgiev
has terrible luck and he's very insecure.
It just went down to really bad luck on his end because there's one of them that sticks out to me is when Georgiev he did a pad save.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of sitting about a yard in front of him, and Makar and Taves both
I think that went
try to clear the puck. It ends up taking a weird doink right to a wide open Connor McDavid, who just does a little flip into the net, and there's a goal, right? So,
and he was playing so tight, so stiff,
really
and that is the worst way.
Because you look at those slap shots that he's been taking, or that the Edmonton Oilers were taking. He blocked them all relatively well. If they were just like
the things he struggled with at the beginning of the season, those screen shots from the point.
He was able to get those shots.
But everything was a flub. I swear to God, they put like flubber in that puck. I've never seen a puck like that one that hit him on the glove. Yes, he should save that. But also, what the hell? Like, how does it bounce like that? And it's just, he truly has very bad luck. And you make your luck. And a lot of it, they have got to do something. And benching him, I know that this game is important today, but benching him for this game today, I don't think is it. A good idea. If he gets out there and has a good game, that could be the difference that propels him back into confidence. Yep. Even if he plays an okay game and they get a win, they have got to find, and they need to go out the first 5 minutes of that game. They need to play like it's an open net. They need to get him through cater to him, baby him a little bit, get him to where he's feeling good, because it's all mental right now.
It really is. And we've seen this even through last season when we first got him. He is definitely his biggest judge.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, for sure. But people need to temper their excitement on Annunen. I am definitely excited, but
yeah, you look at Annunen, he is still very fresh.
Exactly.
Right?
And it could be disastrous. And it could ruin we have been babying this child through the system for so long. You look at guys like Devon Levi, Akira Schmid, goalies that they've thrown in too early that look good early and then end up just falling off a cliff. It would be such a shame to do that to Annunen, which sometimes they do pop off, but Raj was talking, he could name 5 goalies that were put in as rookies, young, that ended up going like right before the playoffs that went through a run. You've got, I can't even remember who they were, but he could name 5 since the 80s. So we need to really chill out on how hard we want to go on with Annunen and not just dump Georgiev, because there is still a very clear path for him to find himself and get hot. Getting hot is all it is. And we're at that spot.
And all this talk that we've had about Georgiev, obviously, to me, he's still our go-to number 1A, right? In that Edmonton game, though, the rest of the team didn't happen to show up either.
Awful.
Right?
Absolutely
and
awful.
You're not doing any favors to Georgiev when you are giving just the worst types of save opportunities for him.
Honestly, that game, it's hard. Have you had many games since we've really established ourselves that were embarrassing? It was an embarrassing
There have
game.
been only a few throughout the season, at least, but at the same time,
such a horrible time for us to pipe Edmonton
but
up like
those are all ones where the whole team just doesn't show up. Like I think of the Panthers game in Florida as one of them, right?
So
the one in Pittsburgh, same thing. But again, it's one of those where it's just no matter what you did, if kind of like how Moj always says, if it wasn't for bad luck, the Avs would have no luck at all.
But even I think this is kind of one of those games too, where we are such little hoity-toity boys about needing the pretty shot. We didn't even have double-digit shots in a single period. There was one point where I looked at you and I said, we have only had, was it 21 shots at the beginning of the third?
We had a total of 23 shots, 24 shots.
Yeah, through the third. And then I looked at you like 20 minutes later and I said, we've
only
had 22 shots now. We've had
changed.
one. It was such a poor offensive.
It really was.
For this team, and we were tired. But also, we have to find a way to adjust to being tired into some kind of dump and chase and just flicking shit on the net. Because as you can see, sometimes flicking stuff at the net just goes in. I mean, that's how you just got to get goals sometimes. Look at Corey Perry scoring dumb goals. Like the Ekholm goal, that shot off the glove, that was not some snipe. And I feel like I wish this team would subdue themselves quicker to those games like that, to just get sloppy and yucky and just it's gonna go in.
It really will. And that's the thing, is it's those gritty, grimy goals that you have to have. You'll have to play physical a lot of the time.
We were not very
and
physical
we weren't.
This game. And
in
we
fact,
are usually Edmonton is soft.
We got over physicaled, and it actually ended up, and I think this is the perfect transition into what happened to Mikko Rantanen in that game.
Yeah.
So Matthias Ekholm bodies Mikko Rantanen twice
in
that game.
I hate that guy.
And the second one, he hits him kind of at the right angle. It wasn't
just weird.
It was a clean hit.
And
yes.
Rantanen does go down a lot and hard.
He falls flat on his butt quite a bit.
Yeah, but this one, I think it was just a weird.
But he obviously
not a small person.
No, and obviously Mikko Rantanen got up, skated off on his own power. So that's
yelled some things.
Yeah, yelled a couple of words that we might or might not have.
They
understood.
were English.
But he didn't come back the rest of the game. They haven't disclosed what the injury is, but Bednar said that they would take time for evaluation.
Yeah.
And
you could feel the air get sucked out of the bar and the air get sucked out of the bench. And Edmonton took it all and inflated themselves again.
They really did.
And then the grossest part about was Ekholm getting out and scoring a goal after that.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that it's one of those yucks. Yeah. Just of all things, when somebody takes out this, your second best player, just don't let them score a goal. And he pansies out of a Jack Johnson fight. Dude, that's the best you're going to get on this. I'm very curious to see. I'm not huge on that, answering the bell, but also, it is a thing. And that was the easiest fight he was gonna get. I'm curious to see if Manson, at this point, you'd have to assume Manson is kind of our fighter.
Last game of the season is what I'm particularly.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that.
Yep.
Manson, I think, is one of the very few bright spots in this game. I thought he did play well, and he has played well. He is exactly what we need him going into the playoffs, because a lot of this season we've had struggles and injuries and ups and downs. We do need him to stay healthy, and if not fighting is what that takes, then I'm fine with that. Beating them would feel better than beating them in a fight. But Josh Manson did play very well. We are kind of seeing Walker struggle with Johnson. I'm curious if Johnson not being in the starting lineup for the playoffs is something that we should consider.
Potentially.
Because it seems that numbers drastically struggle when they're paired with Walker. We did pay a first round draft pick for Walker, so it's kind of frustrating to see him struggle.
Yeah. But I mean, and you kind of see this with everyone, because we watch them closely, right? We're avid fans of the team, so we notice these things. But every player has their ebbs and flows, right? And it's just figuring out what it takes to get them out of that, right? So with Sean Walker, obviously, I'm not concerned about his play. He hasn't made any egregious mistakes.
It's really just that he can't flourish.
He just needs to maybe have his own change of scenery, and if that comes by way of like a line change or something like that. I know, and it's
hard though, because what do? Do you want Sammy? Sammy and Josh are playing phenomenal. I love that Sammy's still just carrying it on. Like, he just is saying screw it all, the haters. He's played so well this year. He's truly been one of the backbones of our defense, as we've seen Kale and Taze truly struggle.
Yeah.
It's hard to think about breaking them up. I just really do think that Jack needs to be a 7th, and I'm not sure who fills that position. Caleb Jones has been relatively underwhelming.
Caleb Jones, Sam Malinsky also comes to mind.
I'm not opposed to Malinsky. I think that the speed alone might be something, and they like Malinsky. They really do like Malinsky. So I'm curious to see. It almost feels maybe it might be too little too late.
Potentially.
I don't know. We'll see. But
I mean, we still got 5 games left in the season.
And Jack Johnson isn't bad. He's just 38,
bro. He's just, he's got to run a gauntlet. And as an old fart, he might slow down. Yeah, right? He's showing signs that could happen. But anyway, you walk out of that 2-3, right? So losing record on those 5 games, but you can make up for it. And the best way you can do it, chasing Dallas, is to play Dallas at Ball Arena. The reason why we're here is to go to this game. We will be at the Avalanche Stars game tonight at Ball Arena. This is going to be, and we scheduled this long time ago, and obviously now we're sitting here going, boy, we're in for a treat.
And we walked out thinking, all right, you know what? It's okay. This is setting up for a get right game. And then Dallas goes and loses to Chicago last night. So Dallas, what does Dallas have to do today? A get right game.
Yep.
They haven't beat us. They have a lot more reason. I mean, at this point,
they're holding on to first place in the division. We are chasing first place.
I think compelling reasons to do this. They just had a nasty loss. At least we lost to Edmonton.
I know,
we lost to a Stanley Cup contender, but they lost to Chicago, and Bedard had a badass goal. Oh my gosh. So it's and they haven't beat us yet. So I think that in their heads, they have more reason to
this is going to be one of the determining who finishes first in the division. Because granted, we are. Let me make sure I check that right.
If we win today, we're 1 point down first.
Yeah, we're 3 points behind them right now. But this is a 4-point swing game.
And that's what I don't even know if I care about winning it. But for the divisional, I don't know if we want first. We've kind of talked about that.
This is the tough one.
But also, we need to win this game for the vibes and the feeling, and it's not just like a get right on the points chase. It's a get right. We need our goalies. We need to see McKinnon do some stuff. We really haven't seen the guys showcased. Val played terrible. Oh, yeah. Did he even exist again in the Oilers game?
I saw him,
and that's just because he's that big. But I mean, other than Drouin, our guys who do their things are niche. Lecky just didn't look. I mean, he looked good, but not great.
Everyone. We
need to see guys showcase the things that we have gone on and on and on that we appreciate so much. We need to see those showcase tonight. Exactly. Just to get set out, because we have a pretty tough schedule. And if we you can't lose 2 games like that in a row, and it spirals, and that's pretty much. But also, I was thinking about it the other night, and we didn't even tell you this. Didn't we have a quick spiral right before the Stanley Cup year?
Yes.
We had the
year we won the cup, if I'm not mistaken, and I want to even say maybe even last year as well. We lost 7 of the last 9 games,
and it felt bad.
Crazy, and you were thinking, what is going on here? But then as soon as playoffs happen, obviously, and this is every team, right? But the Avs just kicked it into gear, and then you started just going on. Well,
and the scheduling kind of makes me wonder: do you think that they schedule it like this so that to discourage maintenance, what's the term I'm looking for?
Oh, resting and rehab.
Yeah. Do you think that they're doing that? Because
potentially
it's hard to see, for them to bench McKinnon or McDavid when we have to play each other. And because it seemed like the year before the Stanley Cup, we lost a couple of games against some really bad teams because we had Makar out quite a bit before that one. And I really, really do think that we're going to see Makar go apeshit here soon. I think he's been really babying his body. When was the last time you saw him make a big hit? One of those. I mean, they're always shocking to me because to me in my brain, Makar's the same size as me, just tall. And then when you see him hit people, that reverse hit is horrifying. Yeah. It reminds people that he is the most dominant, and he's capable of taking and giving some serious hits. And I think we're going to see him start reminding people that that's in there. I think he's just really been babying his body, which is fine, but I'm curious to see when he'll turn that back up and go for one.
I'm right there with you,
because I think that he's someone who really, really values his body, which good. I'd like him to last forever. I think he's always been one to really be like liberal on the time he takes off for injuries and stuff. So I'm curious to see if we start seeing him turn into a boss pretty soon, because that Oilers game from Makar and Tays also
not their brightest,
holy mother of pearl,
not their finest hour.
There was a couple times when we just, I think I asked you, was that Makar on the ice in that
it
goal?
Was.
And
yep. It's just, again, this is one for me that it's just like, just get it out of your head.
Yeah.
It just you move on to the next game.
I was trying to remember too. They operate on much smaller margins than other players, that when they do mess up, it looks really bad because they are taking tighter spaces and bigger risks with
and not to mention the expectation that's placed on them, right? Because a fourth or a third pairing D-man makes that kind of mistake, and everyone's like, well, yeah, that'll happen.
And they also, the third and fourth D-men aren't expected to, they play things a lot safer because they're not expected to produce offense. Makar and Tays have to make some really big risks and play a lot tighter games, because our defense truly has been a very, very important part of our offense. And I do feel that this year we haven't quite seen as many points coming from our defense. Honestly, Josh Manson has been an offensive force for this team as of late. I really hope that some of the liberties that I've seen him take have been so impressive. They look really Cale Makarish, where he's going in there and taking shots, and I never would have thought of him as a sniper, but it'd be nice if we could see that carry through, especially when he's been backed up very well by his partner.
He really has, and that's one thing I'm hoping to see tonight, is just this kind of cohesion, alignment, just something, not just on the defensive side, but in the goaltending, in the offense, on the power play, right?
Especially when it felt like we were there.
It has been.
Our power play. Have we talked about that yet?
No.
Abysmal. Absolutely abysmal.
Absolute crap.
We actually decided we are going to write a couple letters. We're, from this point forward, we're just going to decline the power play. In fact, maybe just give us the penalty kill. We actually probably come closer to scoring more goals on penalty kills.
I think, and I think what the problem is, and honestly, I could even say this for not only the Stars game that's happening tonight, the Wild, the Jets, the Golden Knights, and the Oilers. Those are the last 5 games we have on the season.
There's going to be penalties.
There's going to be penalties.
We need to see Miles Wood break through today.
You have to take advantage of these power plays, because the only thing that I'm seeing right now through these power plays is pass, bad pass, and it's out of the zone, right? And that's the problem, is because and when I've touched on this so many times, especially that Edmonton
game was such a buildup of angst.
You just look for all these perfect and golden opportunities, when really it could be something as you just fire it as soon as any opening, big or small, comes in.
Because it got to the point where, what does it matter if you give up a breakaway at this point? Like, we have got to just bust through.
You have to be a lot more aggressive on this power play, and you have 5 games to turn it around, because power plays are going to come at a premium in the playoffs.
I mean, that is,
and that's one of the things where if you have your power play rolling, it transitions into playoff.
Well, the speed of this team does mean that they will end up. I mean, that does give you more power plays. You draw more penalties.
And Dallas is a heavily penalized
and we need to stop taking stupid penalties, by the way.
That's another thing.
Was it the Oilers game? Was it the Minnesota game that we just completely lost our minds? Just some Trennan. Was it Trennan also?
I can't.
He was so angry.
It was in the Edmonton game, but at the same time, the refs weren't helping.
No, the reffing has not been ideal, but also you adjust your game to that. But we've just had some really lack of controlling ourselves, and I was really surprised to see how angry Trennan was in that game. But we saw. I think Mikko got a bad penalty, which shocker. We've just seen a lot of really dumb penalties lately, and that's just not. We cannot do that going into the playoffs. This is not the right time to find your inner bad boy.
It's time that, yes, you need to get more aggressive on your play, but you also need to be a lot more smart with your play, right? And that's going to be kind of my thing. My key to the game for this Dallas game is going to be taking advantage of the power play, because, like I said, Dallas is a very heavily penalized team. Yeah. That could equate your production from the game, which I don't want it to be. You're totally fine on your 5-on-5. But you have a man advantage. It's called an advantage for a reason. You have 2 minutes of them not having somebody on a guy, right?
And a lot of it is we need to get out and score quickly because starting the game, like just anxiety, and it's just such a soul sucker. And they've handled it quite well. So many comebacks up to this point, but that Edmonton game, I think, was just kind of we just couldn't recover from it mentally, and we just can't keep that up. And we got to see Miles Wood and Ross Colton have both you can tell that LOC was the backbone of that line. I think we need to maybe get outside of that a little bit. Miles Wood has had so many breakaways. He just can't put it away. He's got no finish, but he's got to get a goal. And I truly think that him getting a goal, it would be such a vibe for this team.
It would relax him.
And just the team in general. Yeah. How long has it been? 20-something games?
It's been quite a while. And it's not for lack of trying, because he had a really good breakaway chance in the Edmonton game. It's just one of those,
and he's one of those dudes in the tired games. He's so fast, even when everyone else is tired.
Ball of energy.
That breakaway in the Oilers game, that could have been the difference.
It really could have. And there's a lot of things that just flip momentum. And had Miles Wood,
I really think that we could have won that game.
Had he made that goal, I mean, that ties it up 3-3, if I'm not mistaken, or they're down 4-3 or something like that. But again, it's going to be fun. Obviously, we're going to be there. I'm so excited, Britt, because you get to see me in my rawest form.
Yeah, I'll just be walking around looking for Connor McGahey the whole time.
But that's not the last game they have, and obviously you have 4 more opportunities to get more points than Dallas. Or
pretty redundant schedule, really. Let's try it all again.
But then you host the Wild. This is one where it's like, just do what you did last time. It worked.
They're going to be done playing loose. So they don't give a shit if this is like that whole thing when you've got the bottom feeders, like the Arizonas and stuff that go out and beat good teams. There's nothing to lose. They're going to be testing out some random stuff. They're going to put some of their young guys, maybe some free agent signings, maybe some goalies. They're going to be very loose. And that is scary. This
is going to be one where they are basically playing with house money, where it's like they kind of know they're on the brink of elimination, if not.
Are they not? I thought they're
not eliminated yet, right? But by the time we play them, though, they might be out.
I hope so, right? Because I'd rather them playing loose than with purpose.
Because either one, it's still a scary Minnesota team, right? But again,
it's always personal.
You got the job done the first time a few days ago, right? I see no reason to play. Well, I do want you to play a lot more crisp.
It was a yucky game that could have.
At the same time, even your sloppy game won 5-2, right? So this is one where I'm like,
I really think there's no excuse for us not to win every game until the end of the year.
I think you're exactly right? And this is one where you look at it on paper, you're the better team. On ice,
but I am curious, will we see Onanen in the Wild game? I really hope we see. I haven't checked Twitter
I think you see Onanen in the Wild game, and
we'll probably be every other from here on out.
Georgiev will play, in my opinion, the Stars, Jets, Golden Knights, and Avalanche. I think I think Georgiev plays those last 3 because Georgiev, and we've noticed this.
We're starting Georgiev tonight.
Okay, perfect. So Georgiev has this thing where if he gets if he doesn't play for a long time,
he doesn't like rust.
He rusts, right? And so if
everybody's saying he was rested on that Oilers game, he had 5 days off. He got pulled in that game, and that's like the opposite of what everybody's been preaching. This guy needs.
Nope.
And then for him to come in and then let that goal in, he broke his stick or tried. I mean, that was such a mental defeat for him. We have got to just get him in there, protect the living shit out of him, and make him feel good.
Exactly. And down the stretch, I
don't think that we handle our goaltenders very well.
I think Georgiev, I mean, it took him a couple of games to get back into the swing of things.
And I swear to God, if people boo him tonight, like they were booing at the Rockies game,
throw stuff?
I will just stand up and start screeching like a hyena. Do not boo Georgiev tonight. If he lets in the first 5 shots, that is how you ruin a goaltender. It's how you ruin confidence. And what does a team need to perform? They need to trust their goaltender. They need everybody. This is like the last go rally. Just rally. I swear to God.
It's getting behind.
It's going to be so bad if I hear boos. We were booing our pitcher in Denver.
And
then 5 minutes later hit a walk-off grand slam. Like this town. I've never experienced something so gutting. I don't like booing.
A large range of emotions.
I don't like it at all.
But either way, again, that would be if it were me, because I want him to stay hot, right?
Yes,
to not rust. And so to take that, maybe those last 3 games,
and he's
Jets, Golden Knights, and Oilers,
perform
and
angry.
take that into the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So that way he just starts with a fresh, hot
Dallas were 2 of the best games he's played this year.
Yeah, and so and I think he knows this. The team knows this.
I just pray to God that they are not letting him feel the negativity and feel the distrust and feel. I thought that Onanen pressuring him would be a good thing, but maybe this is the last go where he really feels that heat under his ass and he knows that
he picks it up. And again, I have no doubt that he is our better of the 2 goals.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Does Onanen have a longer, higher ceiling? Probably. Yeah. But right now, we're trying to win a cup right freaking now. And we can't win a cup with Onanen's
right now, your best bet is Georgiev, right? Yes. So moving from the Wild game, right? You then have the Jets at home,
which is
this is another one, because even though, like I said before, we are chasing Dallas, Winnipeg is right behind us.
Yeah, it's the opposite in the West. We're all actually fighting to be good and win something, like so many good teams fighting versus the teams sucking. I mean, it is so tight in the top. I don't know if I've ever seen position changes from 1 through 4 this much in a long time.
Yes, and this is going to be one of those games that we are seeing a new face of Winnipeg, because we haven't seen them since the trade deadline.
Yes,
we're going to be seeing what they will actually look like, because right now this is the more odds on that we face them in the playoffs if Dallas wins out or whatever.
I think it's possibly the ideal situation for a playoff
match.
I don't want the Preds
because
I don't want Vegas,
because Nashville. I mean, we won that game, which again,
Nashville gives
it means that
Panthers
we can
this year.
It means that we have the capability to win. But with Winnipeg, you saw that they had this like 8-game collapse or whatever, right?
Yep.
And that's going to be my key to the game is I want to be a reason they start a losing streak this late in the season, that it just rolls. That low momentum carries the Jets into the playoffs. We pull them. We win.
Jeff Merrick always preaches that he doesn't believe in momentum, but I'm a huge I really do believe in momentum, especially goaltender wise and going into the playoffs.
Yes.
And that's what the Preds give me, Panthers vibes, like hardcore last year's playoff run Panthers vibes, and Winnipeg just doesn't do it for me.
Now it's not going to be easy per se.
And who was their pickup? Hannah
Toffoli.
I love Toffoli.
But and so that's.
But has he been stellar?
He's
he's
been solid. He hasn't been anything like.
They're just very underwhelming to me, and I don't know if that's by accident. Just what I
so this now is also going to be one of my keys to the game. Is I want to see how you fare against this Winnipeg Jets team, because even though the Dallas game is going to be kind of your bar game, this is another bar,
right? And can you maintain whatever? Or if we go out and beat Dallas, can you maintain that and put some stability? Because we were doing so good, and I thought we are just going to roll our butts right into the playoffs. But no, I mean that. The last few games has felt as bad as it's ever felt.
Exactly.
Even with the win against Minnesota, it's sandwiched between like
2 losses.
Just gross. Yeah. Just not comfortable losses either. The Rangers was a comfortable loss. The Blue Jackets and the Edmonton just the Wild win still felt
it still just didn't feel like
so
a win.
It's time that we establish a permanence to this being able to play from one game to another with a clear head. And I don't know, it's just we got to get over the ups and downs.
I think you're exactly right. And I think even the next game, right? The game after Winnipeg, you are in Vegas. That's your one-off away game, right? But this is going to be one where...
They haven't clinched yet, right?
They haven't clinched yet. But again...
Could you imagine if we could be the ones to eliminate them? Could you imagine?
Things could happen, and you could end up playing Vegas. So again, with all of these...
I don't like that.
Right? I want to see how you'd fare if we pull them, right? Because it could be that Winnipeg all of a sudden goes on a run. They end up in first and we're playing Dallas. It could be
the Vegas that we see now. Who knows if that's going to be the Vegas we see? They probably have like 10 other superstars just hiding. I don't know. Who knows?
Game one of the playoffs, they are going to have about 45 new players.
And I don't know if Stone might actually be out, but Hurdle has been on the ice.
I think he's going to play.
I think they said he might be in regular season. Okay.
I think he might play tonight if they're playing tonight.
Which he's been out since when?
He's been out
almost the whole year.
No, he's been out since. February. I think February.
That's a tough ask to come, which hurdle I do think for once in their lives was a long-term plan for them because there's no getting rid of that now.
Yeah. I'm still not over that trade, by the way. Oh,
I just have never been so shocked by a deadline trade. I thought that the middle set was kind of out of nowhere, but hurdle was wow.
Yeah. But anyways, in this game, my key to the game is I'm just going to say it's going to be scoring a jackpot, right? Because and goals, right?
And who is playing? Is Aiden Hill hurt right now? They are in their own goalie.
I believe Logan Thompson is the guy, right? But to me, that lucky number 7 is kind of that number that the Avs need to hit. Not really necessarily nice. 7 goals, but 4 to 3 kind of wins.
Because it would be nice to have one game that we kick some butt, get some points, and get everybody just feeling
a real big confidence boost.
Some Ross Colton goals are really would help.
And,
some Cale Makar.
And what better place to do it than in Vegas?
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah, a lot of posts being hit by our defense.
Let the dice stay hot.
It'd be
you know
really
what
nice.
I mean?
Honestly, in any of these games, it would just be nice to spread some wealth and get some slumps out because there's just a lot of weird downers right now.
I think you're right.
Except Joanne. Right. I'm just going to keep bringing it up. Joanne's doing great.
And then we do have the Edmonton game. We'll touch on it for a bit right now, but since it will be the last regular season game, we'll also talk about it in the next episode. We'll reassess it.
It's hard to know how we feel about it.
But this one, right now, it is a revenge game because you played so poorly against them the first time.
Yeah.
The last game of the season, it could all come down to that game.
Regardless of how we play in any of these games, we have got to win.
This is going to be one where you could determine your own destiny at that point as far as who you're playing, if you get home ice advantage, depending on how the schedule went.
As much as I don't want to see Vegas or Preds, when you consider our record this year, home ice advantage is a lot bigger deal than it was in our Stanley. We played better on the road in the playoffs in our Stanley Cup run, but
right now
it appears that home advantage is very important.
The most important thing that you could have because we have just been outrageously
better since the abysmal week, the week from the week of misery that we thought that we should just close up shop.
We might as well have, for sure. But this Edmonton game again, that's going to be pay-per-view type watching. It's going to be a heavyweight.
It better be
again.
Just like today, it's going to be so good or so bad.
We have a really good slew of 5 games in the chamber. I'm excited for every single one of them.
I mean, we did see them lose their feet in that Edmonton game. I think the schedule really is to blame for that, but I think we've got some of the most elite players in the peak physical condition right now. But we also have to remember that it's not time to kill ourselves. We kind of talked about it before the podcast. They might come out and say, we actually don't really give a crap about the Edmonton game and we're going to sit Makar because we don't have to win this. So sorry, dudes. It would be fun to win, but Makar needs a break or McKinnon needs a break or we do get surprises like that from them sometimes.
That does happen.
We'll see if they value it less than us. I don't know about the maintenance days. We're just talking. I swear they scheduled us really awful games at the end of the season so that we couldn't take maintenance breaks.
So you couldn't have a break?
The NHL is not interested in us doing the NBA style maintenance days.
There you go.
We'll see. I don't know. It's curious. They do love killing our hopes and joys out of these little narratives that we make.
Yes.
So we'll see.
But that's kind of the look ahead for the last 5 games of the season. Yeah. It's the end of the season's here, Britt. I'm sad to say that because I'm always so excited.
Especially when you think about last year, we were done 2 weeks from now last year.
When the season starts, you're like, oh my gosh, we have such a long way to go. Plenty of hockey throughout. And then it's just kind of done, So we
have been blessed we've made it to the second round. 3 years prior to the Cup win?
Yeah. We had plenty of extra hockey. Yeah. We had plenty of extra hockey.
And then last year it ended and it's now what? Because it seemed like after the Stanley Cup win, we just started hockey again in 10 minutes. It was oh, cool, I'll get all my hockey jerseys washed, do my extra special stuff. And then it started. But last year was long, very long
summer.
And then we didn't do much in free agency up until
not a ton. No.
So I would like to not have a long.
I want to be able to continue to talk about games, even through June when we're lifting the cup again.
Yep.
But our time in Denver, Britt, has been So much
It
fun.
has,
We
it has.
did go to a Rockies game, watch that walk-off home run by McMahon.
Yeah.
That was fun. We went to a Nuggets game and just watched them just rip Atlanta in pieces. That was fun. And then obviously, so 2 wins.
We saw Rocky make a backwards half-court shot.
We saw Rocky back.
What did that guy win for that?
I don't remember. But just super fun weekend. It's been a blast being with you, and Allie's having a great time.
Yeah, it's been super fun. We should. Yeah.
You guys have been thrifting.
Yeah, we're gonna go find some.
It's been super fun.
Old sports stuff. Around.
Yeah, we're
TJ Maxx.
Yeah, I know.
All the important things.
You and Allie are the thrifters. I'm the one that just would say, like, you know what?
What's our store that we love so much? What was it called? Sports Fan? Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, we went to Sports Fan in Denver. We definitely recommend checking that out. But other than that, we're 2 for 2 on all of our sports.
Oh my God, we went to Giordano's Pizza.
Giordano's.
So good. And the DNVR bar food was
DNVR bar was
phenomenal.
Amazing. I had that green chili burger. Try that, by the way. But I think I'm ready for all Denver sports to be 3 for 3.
Yeah. It was weird last night walking around. I kept forgetting that we were at a Nuggets game and not an Avs game. So I am so excited for tonight.
This is the reason we're here. So we're beyond excited. It's just been a blast.
Sucks we won't get to see Nico, man.
No, that is the one bummer. But at the same time, you have a deep team that has the capability to win.
I don't want to say that we can't win the Stanley Cup without him, but it is possible that people get hurt.
Sam Girard broke his neck the year we won.
Kadri, for a good while throughout we were out our starting goaltender. So I don't know. We're gonna be okay.
Nope, it'll be fun. But I think that's really it for me, Britt. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add.
Yeah, we'll probably I don't know. We'll be back on later tonight if we lose tonight and it's abysmal.
We'll do some follow-up videos.
We'll come back and apologize for all of our excitement.
We'll do some follow-up videos. Probably us walking away from the stadium with either our heads held high or in our hands. So, but either way, that's going to conclude this very special episode of the Clusterpuck Podcast. Thank you once again, everyone, for watching, following along. We really enjoy your guys' patronage and viewership. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows like the Clusterpuck Podcast go live. You can also follow us on Facebook at the Clusterpuck Podcast and on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at Clusterpuck Avs. With that being said, here's to a win tonight.
Let's go.
We are the good luck charms. Hopefully.
I really regret saying that.
Let's try to win out the rest of the season. And as always, go Avs go.